Hi there friends, Ken here, your Thrifty Apprentice. Happy Wednesday everyone, and today I figured we would do something a little fun. Not too long ago I was on Amazon and I passed this little watercolor kit, and you guys know how crazy I am about little travel palettes and all types of novelty palettes. And so I had to pick it up, and we are going to be taking a look at this today. It doesn't have any branding on it per se. It just says that it is a portable mini paint palette. Artist, painter, student. Made in China. Yeah. Warning, not suitable for children under 36. Choking hazard. Again, made in China. And that's pretty much all of the information that's on the packaging. So the palette inside is empty. And I was mulling over what paints I was gonna put in this little palette, because I will need to let them dry down before we're actually able to use it. And I decided that I would use the Marie's Masters. So just the other day, there was a review video that dropped on the Artistro 24 count watercolor set. And I was telling you guys that I believe that set was a white label of Superior student grade paints. And in that video, I also happened to mention that Superior had a master level, or quote unquote professional step up from their student grade paints. And they also white labeled that particular line of paints for other brands as well. And one of those brands, I believe, okay, I'm just saying, I don't work for any of these factories, but I believe that the Superior Master is white labeled into the Marie's Masters. And I happen to like these paints, and I'll show you guys the little palette that I originally put the paints in. This video is on the channel somewhere, and I'll try to remember to link it. But this little palette came from Five Below. It had 38 watercolors in it that were not the greatest. So I did remove that and turn this into a palette for the Marie's Masters, because I purchased most of these open stock from a Jerry's Autorama store local to me. At the time, they had just come out and they were really economical. They were under $3 a tube. Now they're a little bit more, almost $5 a tube. But that was when they first came out. Anywho, I made this little palette way back when and put them in it. I emptied out the little paints that were in here, made a mixing area, although I don't think I've ever used that. It's not white, but you can still mix on it. And then I made the half pans out of bottle tops with magnets on the bottom. It was so whimsical and cute. Had a lot of fun. Again, I'll see if I can remember to link that. But the paints here are what I'm going to be using in the palette. So let's pop this open, if I can get in it. And see. Now we have a little sketchbook in here. Yes, that's nice. There's a palette and a brush. So first up, the water brush. There is not much information on it that I can read. There are directions on the back that has pictures to show you how you can feel the water brush, but they pretty much all feel the same way, I'm sure. Screw the cap off, yeah. And going in the counterclockwise direction. Clockwise to screw it on. Has this little sketchbook. Now this is painting notebook, 80 by 80 millimeters, 58 sheets. I won't even butcher that name trying to pronounce it. And that's all of the information that I can read. Art inspiration painting notebook. It's embossed there as well. Now it doesn't say whether it's, well, let's just pop off the plastic and see if we can see what we can see. I have to find a palette knife. Here we go. Let's get this open here and see what we have. It feels nice. Can't grab the plastic. You guys know I always have issues opening things. The sketchbook feels nice. Taking off the little belly band there. Still says the same thing, art inspiration painting notebook. It has the company name that produces it, but I can't read that. So it is sewn, but that stitch is busted. It's funny that, yeah, so that's gonna come out. That signature is gonna come out. I can already pull it out, see there? What a bummer. Okay, yeah, that's unfortunate. Like right out the gate. So I'm just gonna take that out. I mean, I guess it's still not that bad. The rest of it seems to be, well, we have another thread hanging here. Well, the whole kit was only like maybe $4, $5, $6 at the most, so I don't feel terrible. The rest of it seems to be okay. So, but yeah, what a bummer. That signature came out. It's 4 pages. Now, I guess I could bind it back in, but I would be binding it in through the cover, and I don't really want to do that. Yeah, so we have that. That's a little unfortunate. And then let's take a look at the palette really quick. Kind of got lost there for a minute. And we have a 2-piece wooden palette, magnetic, with 2, 4, 6, 8 wheels in it, a little mixing area, and then it comes with a clip so that you can clip it to your sketchbook. So I guess you could, like, even on a, well, that's too many pages, I guess. Let's see. Let's do it like this. So you could still clip it to the sketchbook, and even with those signatures that fell out, I could use it. I would be painting on one side. Now, if I wanted to use the entire thing, I wouldn't be able to clip it there, so I would need like a board or something that I was painting on to clip it to. So yeah, those are some things that to consider. I really hate that that fell apart. So I'm gonna fill this real quick because I need to actually give this time to dry before we can move on with this little video. I was just gonna do some quick paintings in the little book there. So let's pick some colors. You guys send me subliminal messages about the colors you think I should put in here. It's 8 little wheels, so let's put a real mixing palette and hope I can get them in these little wheels without, you know, messing it up too bad. So we definitely want to put us a good yellow in there. So let's just do lemon yellow. It's safe, it mixes well. And in the Marie's Masters, I think they give pigment numbers on here. Let me see if I can see. If it's on there, I can't read it right now. No, PY3, it's on the front. Good, so I can see it. Couldn't remember. All right, let's see. I'll put my yellow here. Okay, that's nice. Well, that one still has some binders, a little binder coming out. That's okay. I filled it up there. And once it dries, it'll shrink a little bit, but it'll be enough for me to do 2 or 3 paintings before I need to like fill it again. So that's a lemon yellow. Do I want to do 1 yellow or 2 yellows? I think I'm gonna put a yellow ochre in there. So let's just do the lemon yellow, and let's do a nice red. We need a nice, let's see if we have a nice neutral. Okay, so we have transparent red, which is PR254. I think that's pretty neutral. Let's see what else do we have here. We have a crimson. Now that's gonna be more cool leaning, and we have an alizarin. Okay, well, we have a crimson and an alizarin crimson, so that's actually gonna be a little bit warmer than the alizarin. And you can tell that just by looking at the color swatch. So let's go with, I'm gonna go with the alizarin, I think, because I'm definitely gonna use ultramarine blue for my blue. Or do I wanna do Prussian blue? Okay, so I think what I'm doing, I have indigo as well. I have so many good blues, and of course I need to put a sap green in there. So let's do alizarin crimson. Okay, I wanna just kind of tap that to see if I can get those to settle a little bit. And then we'll do, let's see, blue. I definitely, no, I need to do green. I don't know, I put that in backwards. I should have did the red first. So red, yellow, green. Let's do the sap green. Okay, and then we should do ultramarine blue. I think this is gonna be a pretty good little travel palette. I know these paints are really decent. I really like them. They would probably be on the level of like your Mili Ying Pretty Excellent, or your Paul Rubens Chalme, Colme, however you pronounce it. I would put them in equivalent to Artwell, because I believe Artwell uses the same manufacturer to manufacture their paints as far as the master paints are concerned. Let's see, ultramarine blue. I really want to put either a Prussian blue or indigo in there, or I could do Payne's gray to have another earth tone. I have a pretty decent primary mixing set there. Those are gonna make some nice secondaries with the green. So I wanna do yellow ochre, and I'm gonna need a brown. So let's do it this way. I definitely wanna do yellow ochre. That leaves me 3 slots. I wanna do a brown, so I could do either burnt umber. Ooh, there's Hooker's Green Dark. I should have used that instead. Ooh, and I have a Gamboge too. I wasn't even thinking. There's a Cad Orange. Ooh, should be a few more slots over there. Let's see, so browns. I have a burnt umber, a raw umber that's not necessarily brown though, so burnt umber may be the way we go. What else is here? I have a burnt sienna. I think I kind of want to do the burnt sienna this time around. It's just gonna, the raw sienna would be a little bit more versatile. No, that's raw umber, not raw sienna. Okay, yeah, let's go with the burnt sienna. Wait a minute, I don't want to do that yet. See, I'm still about to do it backwards. So I want to put Payne's Gray in there. I just want to put another blue. Decisions. I need to just make one and go with it. I need to just make one and go with it. This Phthalo and Cadmium Red. Do I want to do... Okay, so let's do a Payne's Gray, and then we can do a violet. We're gonna make it a pretty unique kind of all-around palette. All right, let's do a violet. We're gonna do Brilliant Purple, and it's PV23. So, you know, Ultramarine Blue is PV29. Sap Green is actually 3 pigments, PG7, PY154, and PR10. Interesting. I probably said that before when I read that pigment makeup. All right, that is the Brilliant Purple. And then right beside that, we will put the Yellow Ochre. Moving into our earth tones. I want to make sure it's going to dry down okay and close. So I don't want to overfill them. And this is probably ridiculously long for no good reason. So I'm going to fill these. We're going to let this dry down. Okay, that's definitely more binder than anything. So I'll get a toothpick to mix that down and just leave it be. And then we'll do Payne's Gray. And then I'll give the paints about 24 hours to dry. And then we're going to come back and actually test painting something in the little sketchbook just to see how the paper works. Okay, I think we should be good with that. Hopefully nothing is overfilled, and I'll get a toothpick to mix down the burnt sienna. In the meantime, I'll give this about 24 hours to dry. Okay, friends, I could not leave well enough alone, and the sketchbook was kind of taking me through it, so I decided I was going to sew the signature back in. I grabbed some embroidery floss and an embroidery needle, and I've just started by inserting the needle in. I shouldn't have done it in that hole. I'm putting the holes in here. Okay, so let's, I was gonna put gloves on, but it's no big deal. This is just, we're playing here. Okay, I cannot believe I got that to work, and it doesn't look too bad. So I just sewed the signature back into the book. And just to make it look a little bit more, you know, make it lay down a little bit more, I'm just gonna knot it. You can knot yours once. You don't have to knot it twice. Just make sure you make your knot tight enough that it won't come loose. And there. My book does have a little closer issue now because of that knot. I made my knot thicker than you may want to make yours. Like I said a little earlier. But at least the signature is sewn back in. And I have a full sketchbook. I can just put a little band on it to keep it closed. And now my palette can, I guess you just clip it to different places in the sketchbook to paint. So, yeah, we'll give the paints time to dry down, and then we'll give this a run, see if we can figure out how to use as much real estate on the page as possible and still have this little guy clipped to the sketchbook. So it'll probably end up being like a page by page thing. But we'll see. Friends, we are back, and it has been about a day and a half since we left each other, although it was a few seconds for you, right? As you can see, the paints have dried down. enough for me to be able to close the palette. I'm gonna grab the other component, and I could not just let it go. That sketchbook having that signature fall out, I had to put it back in, as you guys saw. So I just did a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and yeah, it's going through the spine of the journal, but I did see some other stitches that are loose, so I feel like I'm gonna have to do that again with another signature. But that's just, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, the entire set was like $6 if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just gonna put the palette together here, and we're gonna do a little painting. Well, I might add a couple of other things actually. Because if I was taking this out on the go, well, if I had to put it from my studio, I would definitely add a pencil to the mix, maybe even a black fine liner, but I'm gonna keep it as basic as possible, adding as little as possible to the mix. So I'm gonna add a pencil. So I would probably have that in my bag, and I would probably also add like a board. This is like a board I normally tape like single sheets of paper down to when I'm taping them down to paint on them. And I have this large bull clip as well because I don't have another small clip. But the reason I decided to add this board would be that, so if you're out and about and you're painting and you're going to be clipping this palette to either side of your sketchbook, then that takes up a whole page, right? So you only really have just this one side here to paint on. But I figured that if maybe you were to have something like a backing board, something small, and this is like 5 by 7 if I'm not mistaken, then you could like open up to the page in your sketchbook that you wanted to paint on, and then I'm gonna put up, that's why I have the big bull clip to clip it down here, and I'll put it as close to the edge as I can. I think that'll work without it snapping off. And then I'll put the palette on, and I'll probably have to put it on upside down, which is fine. That way I would have a way to use a full spread to paint on. And I think that's what we're going to do today. So these are the things that would probably be in my bag, my little travel bag for this kit, so that I could do that. And then I would have the pencil and I would have the paintbrush. Now let's fill the paintbrush with some water. Or do I want to use studio brushes? Nope, we're gonna stick to what's in the kit. And I guess you would also have like a paper towel. So I'll close the brush up. And I don't have a paper towel, but I do have a towel here. And I drop my paper. Well, okay. So I have water brush here. So I have a paper towel now. And pencil, okay. So this is how what I would have out in the field with me if we're just gonna use kit, right? And as few things to add to it as possible. So just the only thing we added was a paper towel, this board, just to make things easier for a full spread. Yeah, you guys got it. All right, so I pulled up a random landscape on Google. You know, I can't share it on screen because I'm not sure what the licensing for the particular picture is. So I'm just gonna paint. You guys can kind of follow along with me if you want to. So I'm pretending that I'm out and I'm sitting across from the landscape that I'm looking out at. And the very first thing that jumps out at me is that there's gonna be a path. So I'm assuming this is like a park or something. I just typed in landscapes and just picked the first thing I saw. So maybe a golf course, I don't know. So there's like a sidewalk, a street, a road, something right here in the foreground. And this paper feels hot pressed, so I hope it performs okay. Hey friends, today's video is brought to you by my very own company, Defyantarts. Defyant's website always features the latest art challenges, giveaways, and communications from things that go down right here in the thrifty art community. We offer a comprehensive store of Defyant branded products, digital art prints from original artwork done by yours truly, custom handmade sketchbooks, and journals as they become available. And of course, there are curated sets of watercolors to help you test artist quality paints without going broke. While you are there, don't forget to check out the video of the month meant to give you inspiration on your creative journey and a library of videos meant to help you find your start and to grow as a budding artist. So don't hesitate to head to the video description where you will find the link to the website and jumpstart your deeper connection to the thrifty art community. So let's put a horizon in, and if I was outside I wouldn't have a ruler, so I'm just gonna have to try my best to get it in, keep it straight. I'm not the best at straight lines, I've always said that, so we'll see how this turns out. I don't guess that's too bad. And if I was outside, I really would just be capturing information quickly, and I wouldn't really be concerned about how it's going to turn out. So there seems to be a body of water right here, like a pond. So let's see, let's divide this off first. So this would be my foreground area. Let's see. The sidewalk. Let me do the sidewalk thingy. I'm having to condense it down. It's a small sketchbook, so I'll put a line trying to keep it straight here. Or it doesn't necessarily have to be straight. And I'm gonna put a parallel line beside it. It's gonna be straight in mine. It's like a sidewalk or maybe a golf road. I think this might be a golf course. We're gonna have greenery in here, and then there's like a strip of brown that kind of rounds right here. Well, actually it really goes off that way. Okay, and then there's gonna be a body of water. Looks like it goes back up in the distance, and you have, it's gonna be narrow. Let's see. So there's this little, and then out of that comes, it's a little hard to see. To blow this up a little bit, let's see. So I can get a better, okay, so it seems to kind of go back in and does something like this. Then it just kind of comes over. Okay. Okay. So I'll go back off like that. And then up on this way, up here, actually, there is still a little piece of land. The water would be so little and so compact the way I'm doing this. I've actually drawn the foreground too big, but I'm gonna make it work. We're gonna let that be the water, and we'll cut out the land that should have been, well, no. I'm gonna get that shape in. Just have to keep it thin, but I wanna get that shape in. All right. Okay. I think that's about all I need. There's gonna be a big tree kind of sticking out here. Be some trees back here. Let's put some little indications. It's pretty up in here. And then there'll be some little tree clusters back here. This, again, I would be sketching fast and just trying to capture the gesture of things. All right, now for the fun part. Oh, this little palette is, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun to figure this out. Okay, let's see. Let me scooch that over like this. Okay. I'm gonna start with the sky and what's in this palette. I should have swatched it out. And we'll do that too. We'll do it. I gotta remember, what did I put in here? I put an ultramarine, right? I think that's what this is. Nope, that's the purple. I forgot the palette is upside down. So this would be ultramarine. And we're gonna put some of it at the top. I'm gonna squeeze a little water out. I think this is a hot press paper, so I'm not gonna get too crazy with the water on it. I did kind of wet that area. I'm gonna wet it down to the horizon line, going over that tree line. Just add a little coolness to what I do later on. That'll allow me to put some more blue at the top. Now they're like clouds, so I'm gonna see if I can just paint them in. Without having to go back and dab them out in any way. So I'm just gonna kind of buff in some clouds. Just put a little texture in my background. I need to be careful. I can see that this paper is buckling a little bit already. That's okay. And basically, I'm just kind of negative painting. That way it'll give it an appearance of some clouds in there. Can you guys see that? I'm holding it up like I'm outside, so I'm sorry. I just feel like I want it stronger. Top there. Same thing over here. Still paint around my clouds, but I wanted to get a little bit more color. I said you can bring it down. Definitely not the best paper, not the worst paper I've ever painted on. I still say the worst paper I've ever painted on has been, never mind. Okay. Let's move on. Let's put some of that blue in the water area, because again, we would be painting fast. We're outside. Light is changing. All types of things could be happening to us. Now, I do always suggest that when you're outside painting that you, see, that just got carried away. So I'm gonna take my paper towel and kind of blot that up. I will say, for a hot press paper, it's not reacting too bad to the water. I still feel like I can get some harsh lines if I wasn't mindful of things. Maybe some other colors in the water. We're gonna have some green. There's gonna be some reflections. So I'm gonna grab a little sap green. It's a little bit. Base that in the water to add a little color to it, you know? That's a little bit of color, because you are gonna have, mix those two together as well. You are gonna have some reflections, some greens. I'll finish it up with some ultramarine up front. And it reconstitutes pretty well on this paper too. But I can see, as I said earlier, you can definitely get some hard lines if you don't watch it. You can always add another layer of color if you need to a little later on once everything dries as well. Because sometimes when I'm outside painting, I'll just do a sketch, get the feel for what I'm doing, and then finish it up inside. I definitely don't like this paper. This sketchbook. I'm gonna go darker with my blue here. Give me some more saturation. I just felt like the shift was gonna be really dramatic. So I'm putting a little bit heavier concentration of paint. Now this brush has I think it's a hair sticking off of it. I think that's what it is, in all honesty. And that might cause an issue for me. And it definitely feeds water constantly, which is kind of making it hard for me to get. I mean, $6. $6. I'm gonna keep saying to myself, $6, you know? I added my own paints, but yeah. I'm definitely gonna have to put another layer on that too. I'm gonna move on and put sap green down on the front here. It's almost like the paints kind of go waxy on the paper surface. It's a little interesting. I hope I haven't been holding it up too high so you guys hadn't been able to see it. If so, I do apologize. We're definitely gonna get the impression of a landscape. I probably won't be painting in this again. It's fine. For $6, it's fine. I'm gonna mix a little ultramarine blue with that. There seems to be like definitely a darker grass streak here, sort of around the pad. I'll put some streaks up through it too, just because naturally there would be. And I do have to constantly kind of keep moving so that there aren't harsh lines. So definitely a hot press paper. And I'll be honest, I've never kind of understood why companies put a hot press paper in these little kits, because the paper really doesn't stand up to water, but there's a water brush in the kit. You know, am I making sense? Does that make sense to anybody? Maybe it's just me. And if so, that's fine. You know, I've been out on a limb, like Tina Marie. I'm using the paint a little thicker than I normally would when doing a base layer. Keeping in mind that everything is not dry. I'm just painting because that's how it would be if I was outside. I wouldn't have a blow dryer. I wouldn't sit around just waiting on things to dry. I would just be working on getting the impression of what I'm doing. Okay, now basically I'm adding in grass, but I'm shaping the path as I do it. And it's close to the reference photo, but not quite the same. Which is fine. It is okay to take artist liberty in your work. All right, let's see. Let's get that background. I need to get the, this should be a little darker. I'm gonna put a little bit more sap in it, but we're gonna mix that blue that was there on this end. We're gonna go in back here. I'm trying my best to control this painting. The palette, yes, it's good. I mean, it's a cute little palette. It's working just fine, you know, no issues with that. And I mean, the palette, I don't mind that I paid, what is it, $6? I got a palette in a clip that I know, you know, are pretty decent quality. The brush and the paper, in all honesty, I feel like they were just a add-in. I'm gonna mix in, oh, picked up a lot of ultramarine. I got some purple up there, let that mix in too, why not? I need most of this shadowed. And I'm just painting quick. Not really thinking too much. I'm glancing back and forth at the sort of outside scene. I'm pretending it's not a reference photo. So I'm excuse me. I'm glancing back and forth at my scene in front of me. All right, now I'm still pretending I'm outside, so I'm trying to jump around to give certain parts a little time to dry. Now this paper is going to buckle. I want to grab a little of this lemon yellow, and I'm about to introduce it into the green right here towards the bottom. Now you'll see I just dipped in there. That's okay. It's dry. I can clean it. I'm gonna put some of that in this foreground. And some brighter streaks here. This is gonna help pull this part of the composition forward. And now we're about to start building onto the painting. Now, the only other thing that I really need to get down, say that if I was outside and maybe I was in a rush, the only other information I really truly need to get recorded is gonna be the hedge line, exactly. I mean, the horizon line, exactly where the trees are, there. So let's get that in real quick. Now, those trees are dark. So I'm gonna use ultramarine, a little of my brilliant violet, and a little sap green. I'm gonna get us a nice dark green here. I mean, you can put a touch of Payne's gray in it if you want to, because I'm gonna use that elsewhere too. All right, and now I just wanna follow the shape that I see back there. Leaving space in, leaving some white space, gonna help make it look more realistic. I'm gonna grab, there are hairs sticking out on this brush. I can't take it anymore, I have to take them out. Okay, I can't, it's like it's frayed and the hairs are coming out of it. Okay, hopefully that'll help. A little bit more ultramarine down towards the bottom. Let's dap in some cooler shadow back there. And I think I'll mix it and kind of stick with that darker color. I like that. See, we got humps here and load on this way. And it's about the same height as it goes up here and there. And I'm gonna add more color to this as we go. And it goes you can kind of throw some tops in it like that. That's cool. And there's something big there. Some type of tree with, okay, so I'm gonna have to put those are like deciduous trees. I know it just looks like a blob now, but it'll fool the eye in the distance, I promise. And there's actually kind of a connection here. And this is just like one block of trees, but all of that rolls downward. Grab a little bit more, trying to pick up less water here. Something like that. This shaped something like that back there. And I'm kind of using those stray hairs to give me something that might look like treetops. I don't know. That's the thing about painting like this. Painting is quick. I'm just making gestures, making marks. And hopefully they come together to look like something. I mean, I make it sound like I'm just like throwing stuff on the paper, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean. Now I want to, let's see, we have a couple of trees close to us. Actually, let's get out of this kind of mixed around on the palette. Let's clean up all of that. I'm gonna drop a little water there, and hopefully, you know, I'm gonna be able to do that. It looks like it's running down beside the wood, so yeah, the wood is definitely gonna get wet, maybe swell. That's unfortunate, but that's okay. I'm gonna use ultramarine, a little burnt sienna here. So I get a pretty decent, a little gray there, but I want it to be less watery, and it's actually kind of hard to do with this brush, if the truth be told, because it's feeding water so fast. All right, let's see. Can I get, and in this case, it may be just really bright. are really saturated. In this case, it may be better to maybe use your Payne's Gray if you have it straight from the pen. But I'm gonna make this work. Again, I'm not being trying to be too perfect. I'm just definitely trying to capture the impression of the picture. It's definitely a golf course. And I'm gonna let that stay just like it is. Paint it in a little darker since it's in the foreground. But I'm gonna let it stay just like it is. I'm not gonna fool with that too much. All right, it's probably gonna have a harsh line, but it's okay. Let's put in the trees. We're almost done here. I'm gonna grab a little bit more sap green, and I'm okay with it mixing into everything else that's right there. And a touch of ultramarine blue. Let's see. My throat is going froggy all of a sudden. I'm sorry. I need to put a tree here. And a couple trees. I'm just putting down some shapes here. I'm just really putting down the shape of the tree, right? I'm gonna go drop some blue in it. Just putting down the shape of the crown of the tree anyway. Because, you know, I'm looking at the phone. I have the phone sitting a couple of feet away from me. And everything sort of looks like it's sort of off in the distance. So I'm not seeing too much detail of anything. I'm just kind of seeing shapes. And I'm going back and forth between that green and blue mixture. Okay, and then there's, I'm gonna put some branches and things in a minute. And there's a tree here, but I need to put that in with some brown. And then I can't put this in yet. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I need to get in right now. Not that I can see. All right. I'm wiping my brush off. I'm grabbing burnt sienna straight from the pan. And I'm gonna mix it out over here. Pick up a little more. I need to put in some little off in the distance. And all I'm doing is putting in little brown marks. I'm not gonna even really worry about them being able to be shadowed or anything like that. And I'm gonna do the same thing with my trees up front here. Just putting in some brown indicators for bark. And there is, add a little blue to that just to darken it up a little bit. There is a tree right here. I'm not gonna record too much information, but I am gonna get a lot of it down. Another tree right here. And I'm just making random twigs. go back in with a little darker paint. And this would be the point where you could, you know, throw you a little ultramarine in there a little more. Like I said, you could have been mixing with Payne's Gray too. You can go in there and just kind of put a few dark marks over that, and you'll be surprised at how it'll make it stand out a little more. I actually threw some, that's fine, I put Payne's Gray in on it. But that's cool, okay? And then there's gonna be, I don't like the way my trees came out right here in the front. That's okay. And there's gonna be, it's all up here. There's nothing down here, it's all up here. It starts somewhere up in here. It's gonna have, I'm just putting something there that'll represent branches. Put in some leaves on things. We're almost done here. I'm mixing a darker green for this. I didn't want it that watery, so I'm gonna wipe off my brush and try this again. A blue, a little green. Okay. A little bit more of that. Wipe off my brush. And then I guess for these on a dab. Just kind of trying to shape a crown. I'm just gonna dab. I think that'll be fine, just dabbing. And that's about that on that. Put a little yellow in it. Bring it forward if you want to. That wouldn't be too bad. Just a touch here and there. Give some lightness to it. Okay. Let me put some little leaves over here. Same thing. They're kind of dark. Some to dab. It's a little bit more paint. Okay. I think that's about accurate. I want to put a few, I want to make those branches a little darker. I'm trying to see if I can just grab some burnt sienna real quick and run up in there and kind of hit and miss things. There we go. Reflections. Burnt sienna mixed directly into everything on the palette. It's gonna get gray. And if you need to, throw some Payne's Gray in there because we're using it. I probably would switch my brush to a travel brush. that doesn't, or a water brush that just doesn't feed water as quickly as this does. So we need, I'll wipe my brush here. That's too dark. We need shadows, real quick, like we're just adding in some shadow now, and I got quiet, but just adding in. Just adding in shadow. It's like, see, I'm just dapping in a watery gray here and there to, there was evidently a tree that was supposed to go in here somewhere, but I'm not about to add it. I'm not. I'm just gonna tap that gray in there and get it a little personality and keep on going. And that, my friends, is about that on that. I need to put some little, let's see if I can get them done without it being too watery. And I'm just using sap green directly from the pan to put a few grass striations right across the front. It's just in that place, ironically enough. And I'm gonna wipe my brush and I grab a little of that burnt sienna, and let's go in here and put it, let you be able to see some land under that. Actually, let's do that. Grab a little water on my brush just to get the paint to flow off. And there are hairs coming out of this brush again. Turn this to the side here and see if I can try to drag a straight line. Didn't quite get one over here, but it'll just look like a reflection in the water. Okay, that's not too bad. That gave it everything a little bit more dimension. Made it look closer to the reference photo, definitely. See, where else? I think that's about it. I think we're gonna call that good, because I've done way more than, you know, I normally would have anyway. If I was out on location painting, it would have been like, okay, that was fun. No, I take my sweet time with painting. But outside, I'm not, you know, I don't really be concerned with the way those paintings come out, more so than being concerned with the experience of it all. I think it would be cool to be able to see some land right there. Just cover my palette up. It's not necessarily in the photo, but okay. There's that. There's a strip of land, there's a strip of something. It's like really light though. It's not quite nearly as concentrated as that. It's like right here. I'm not sure if I should put it in there, if I should omit it. But it's like it was growing, the grass should have been growing up around it almost. So before I wrap this up, I want to go in and correct something. I was taking a look at the reference photo a little bit more, and these trees should actually be breaking the horizon line right here in the front. So I'm gonna see if I can remix that color. Put a little ultramarine in it because it's definitely darker than just sap green. But enough sap to. And then I want to go in and add to these trees. Kind of let it break the horizon. Making them sort of like one. And then I'll do the same thing for this. They should be breaking the horizon, and I'll just make that one tree as well. All right. I want to add some yellow into that. See if I can wipe my brush and just pick up yellow on its own. It's kind of dab it at the top. All right, I think I like that a lot better. Let me just get a little blue directly on my brush, and I'm gonna go in here and try to divide up where I put that yellow a little bit. It just kind of run all over the place. And if you have, I mean, you can still use this water brush to kind of pick some paint up if you move fast enough. Kind of shape that tree. There we go. Now, I like that. But I need to increase that shadow now. So I'm gonna grab some burnt sienna and ultramarine. And I'm not really worried about it. I mean, this paint is rather affordable paint, but it's just affordable, good paint. Tap that in a little bit better, making those look closer together, a little bit more in tune. Okay, that's better. That's a better representation. So I'm definitely going to call that done. I feel like this is a nice little representation of the landscape photo that I pulled up, and it gave you guys a chance to see sort of everything that came in the kit at work. Hopefully you found something kind of helpful about this. If you did, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up by sprinkling a little love. You can share the video because sharing is caring, and maybe someone else has run across this little kit and is interested in the things that's in the bag. Drop in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Do you have a little palette like this? And if so, what paints do you have in yours? Have you used it out and about yet? I can't wait to use this one out and about. I love the paints that I put in it, and I can use it with many different palettes and many different kits. Love that. So let me know in the comment section about your experience with your little wooden travel palettes. I would have to say that for the $5 or $6, I think it's worth it. Just for the palette and the clip. The paper isn't half bad. It's not the best, but as you can see, you can paint on it. And the water brush is the only thing that ultimately I truly don't like, because it has much more of a continuous feed than most water brushes that I'm used to. And it does kind of make it a little bit difficult with a hot press paper, in my opinion. If you're gonna give a continuous feed water brush, I feel like maybe there should be a cold press paper that's gonna handle water a little bit more. Or if you're gonna give a hot press paper, at least give a water brush that has one of the push stoppers on it that allows you to control the flow of the water. I just think that small little details like that are something that companies should think about. But I'm nitpicking. $6, you know? So I'm really nitpicking here. Overall, I don't think it was a bad buy, and I don't believe that I wasted my money at all. So, friends, if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, or you're returning and you haven't subscribed, do hit that subscription button so you'll know when we go live and when we upload. Check the video description for all of the relevant links. That's going to be the Patreon link, so check out Patreon free level as well as the Creation Station level, which has all of the major perks. You can check out all of the social sites. If you're over on Instagram or Facebook, do give your boy a follow so that we can grow the thrifty community on those platforms as well. Also on Blue Sky, also on Thread, just in case. And of course, there's Palm Street. That link will also be in the video description. Palm Street lives and sales go down all the time, so it may be another artsy place you want to hang out with us. You can check out, of course, I'm going to link this in case you guys want to try to source it. You're going to get the most recommended product list. You'll get the website, which I always encourage people to check out. And you'll also get the artist wish list. So there you have it, friends. I enjoyed hanging out with you. Hopefully you enjoyed hanging out with me. And as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep creating.